The phone on the table fees say the greatest distance in a marriage isn't miles apart, but sitting next to each other with hearts far away. This is a story of Daniel and Grace. Scene 1. Silent dinners. Daniel and Grace sat at their dining table, food steaming on the table between them, but their connection felt as cold as the plates. Daniel, absorbed in his phone, swiped through social media posts, oblivious to the wife across from him. His thumb worked overtime, a blur of activity that only fed his digital appetite. Grace sat bathed in the soft glow of the lamp, but her face was drained of color, her gaze fixed on the food in front of her, hiding a sadness that threatened to spill over. With every passing moment, the quiet hum of their refrigerator sang a louder tune than either of them. Grace wished there was music in their lives again, a melody that resonated with laughter and love. Instead, all they had were these hollow silences. Every evening Grace prepared dinner, hoping for a conversation, maybe laughter or even a simple smile. But Daniel's phone became his companion, and silence became her meal. The warmth of their love, once abundant like the spices in her cooking, had turned cold, leaving Grace to wonder where it all went wrong. Scene 2. The hidden penaz. The days slipped by. Grace found solace in her diary. Each night she would pour her heart out onto the pages, whispering the words she longed to say to Daniel. In the privacy of her room, Grace wiped away a stray tear. The diary lay open on her lap, the ink on its pages mirroring the turmoil in her heart. The words, "I miss us," hovered above her unspoken, yet deafening in their silence. The scent of old paper and ink filled her senses as she turned the brittle pages, stopping at an entry from their early years. A picture peeked from the journal, capturing a moment frozen in time. Daniel and Grace on their wedding day, their eyes locked in a promise that seemed to echo the vows they had exchanged, his hand holding hers, their smiles radiating a joy that seemed distant now. A bittersweet ache filled her chest. The years had etched lines, not just on their faces, but also on their hearts. Lines that spoke of unspoken words and fading memories. She sighed, folding the photo carefully and placing it back into the diary. The silence of the room was no longer comforting. It was a stark reminder of the distance that had grown between them. Daniel never noticed Grace's tears or understood the depth of her despair. He saw only a wife who sometimes seemed distant, lost in her own world. To him, silence meant peace. He never realized that silence was slowly killing the bond they had once shared. Grace struggled with her feelings, unsure how to bridge the gap that had formed between them. But in the quiet hours, with the diary as her only confidant, she poured out her heart, hoping one day soon it would find its way back to Daniel. Scene 3. The wake-up. Calvin. Came the day when Grace decided to take a stand. She wasn't going to let their marriage fade away silently. As Daniel left for work that morning, Grace placed her phone on the table. Beside it, she left a small note. When Daniel came home, he found the phone waiting for him. Confusion creased his forehead as he picked it up. His eyes scanned the screen, finding nothing unusual. That's when he noticed the note. The neat handwriting stood out on the plain paper. "If you don't talk to me, who will?" The words hit him like a jolt of electricity, disrupting the normalcy he had settled into. The phone slipped from his numb fingers, hitting the table, the screen going dark. Grace had never been confrontational, so this note, born out of her desperation to reconnect with him, was a shock. Daniel stared at the closed door of their bedroom. The note crumpled in his hand. He suddenly realized the extent to which their relationship had deteriorated. All those times he'd come home, tired and seeking solace in his phone. He'd shut the door on Grace. He'd shut the door on his wife. The woman he loved. The woman who loved him. The silence that had once felt peaceful now echoed with the sound of their disintegrating marriage. That night, Daniel's world seemed to stop. The ticking of the clock was the loudest noise in the quiet house. He saw the phone not as a friend, a companion in his daily grind, but as the thief that had stolen his marriage. He saw the note, not as a reproach, but as a lifeline thrown into the sea of their silence. Scene 4. Choosing Loveganen. The days following that conversation, a change swept through Daniel and Grace's lives. Daniel put his phone in a drawer, choosing to answer when it rang, but not seek solace in its embrace. He lit a candle at dinner, its soft glow replacing the harsh light from his phone screen. He looked at Grace, truly looked at her, and saw the woman he had fallen in love with all those years ago. Their conversations were stilted at first, like birds testing their wings before flight. But with each passing day, they grew more comfortable. They talked about their dreams, their fears, and slowly, oh, so slowly, they began to rebuild the bridge that had been washed away by the floods of neglect. Grace didn't ask for grand gestures or promises. She just needed his attention, his undivided attention, something he had given freely in the past, but somewhere along the way had forgotten. One evening, Daniel reached out, his hand finding Grace's. Their fingers intertwined, sending a jolt of electricity between them. He looked into her eyes, seeing the depth of emotion there, the hurt, the hope, the unwavering love. "I'm sorry," he whispered, the words carrying the weight of years. "I'll try harder," he promised, his voice thick with emotion. Grace squeezed his hand. She knew it wasn't easy for him, but she was willing to wait, to nurture the rekindled flame until it burned brightly once more. The road ahead wasn't without its challenges, but they faced it together, step by step, conversation by conversation, touch by touch. The phone remained in the drawer, its silence a stark reminder of what it had almost taken from them. Now, when they ate dinner, it was in silence, but it was a comfortable silence, punctuated by shared smiles and stolen glances. The distance in their marriage hadn't been bridged overnight, but in the quiet, persistent efforts they made each day to connect, to remember why they fell in love, and to choose it again and again. Closing reflection marriage isn't something you maintain by ignoring problems. It's something you nurture every day, not with grand gestures, but with tiny acts of love and understanding. Remember, communication is the bridge that connects to hearts. Don't let silence tear it down. It's easy to let life's busyness erode a marriage, to let the silence grow, to let the distance become a chasm. But Grace and Daniel's story reminds us that even in the quietest of rooms, love can bloom if we give it a chance. Daniel and Grace's story is a reminder for all of us. Marriage isn't a destination. It's a journey filled with twists and turns. Sometimes that journey leads us to a place of silence and neglect. But as their story shows, it doesn't have to stay that way. Every day is a choice. Every interaction, a decision. Every glance a promise to keep trying. To keep loving. To keep living. Their story is a testament to the power of one small step. Grace's note may have been a bold move, but it was the catalyst that brought them back to each other. It is a reminder for all of us that sometimes the smallest actions can lead to the most profound changes. Call to action if this story touched your heart. If it made you think about the whispers of love and silence in your own life, then share Italiano. Share it with someone who needs to hear this story, who might be on a similar path, who might be contemplating the silence in their own life. You never know whose life you might touch with this message, because sometimes the smallest change can make the greatest difference. And when we choose love over silence, we choose life over death, connection over disconnection, and that is the greatest choice of all. So click that share button. Let's spread this message of hope and love, reminding people that in the quietest of nights, love can still shine its light. Thank you for watching and sharing this video. We hope it has brought you joy and has made you think about the importance of communication and love in our relationships. If you liked this video, please hit the like button below. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to our channel. We have many more heartwarming stories waiting for you. Until next time, take care and remember to keep spreading love and kindness.